The war did not begin with gunfire in the photographs. It began with stillness. In the earliest Civil War images, everything looks calm. Men stand straight. Faces are clean. Uniforms fit properly. Rifles rest against shoulders like tools that haven't yet learned how to kill. If you didn't know history, you might think these men were heading to a parade instead of into the bloodiest conflict America had ever seen. Photography was new then. War photography was even newer. No one truly understood what it would capture or what it would reveal. The first photos show young soldiers posing proudly, some barely more than boys. They stare into the lens with confidence, unaware that many of them will not survive the year. These images were often taken in town studios before soldiers marched off to battle. Backdrops were painted. Chairs were arranged. Mothers paid for the pictures so they could keep something if their sons never returned. Those faces become haunting once you know what happened next. Another set of photos shows training camps. Tents stretch endlessly across open fields. Smoke rises gently from cooking fires. Soldiers wash clothes in rivers, laugh together, play cards, and write letters home. War, in these images, looks almost peaceful. But this calm is deceptive. These camps were breeding grounds for disease. Long before bullets, sickness killed thousands. Typhoid, dysentery, and pneumonia moved silently through the tents, unseen by the camera but felt in every regiment. Then come the generals. Portraits of Abraham Lincoln show a man growing older at impossible speed. Early photos show him tall and awkward, with tired eyes but a hopeful posture. Later images reveal deep lines in his face, sadness carved into his expression. The war aged him in public view. Other portraits show men like Ulysses S. Grant, Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson faces calm, controlled, almost distant. They appear thoughtful, not cruel. Yet each decision they made sent thousands toward death. As photography followed the armies, the tone of the images changed. The first battlefield photos shocked the public. Before this war, Americans imagined battle as heroic chaos, smoke, motion, courage. But the camera showed something else entirely. Bodies lay still, faces frozen. Men collapsed where they fell, some twisted in unnatural positions, others strangely peaceful. There was no movement, no music, no glory. One famous photograph shows Confederate dead lying behind a stone wall. Their shoes are worn thin. Their coats are torn. One man's hand still grips his rifle. These soldiers were not actors. They were not posed. They were left exactly as death had found them. For the first time, civilians saw war without imagination softening its edges.
Photos of ruined towns followed. Churches with shattered roofs, homes burned down to their foundations, railroads twisted like broken bones. The war did not only kill soldiers, it erased entire communities. Families stood beside what remained of their houses, staring into the camera with hollow eyes. There is no anger in those expressions, only exhaustion. Then there are the enslaved people. Photographs show men and women who had lived their entire lives in bondage. Some images capture scars deep, raised marks across backs, evidence of years of whipping. Others show newly freed families standing together, uncertain but upright. Their clothing is simple, their expressions cautious. Freedom had arrived, but no one promised safety. One image shows a formerly enslaved man sitting for a portrait, dressed neatly, staring directly into the lens. He is not smiling. He does not look away. The photograph feels like a quiet declaration. I exist. I endured. As the number of images grows, the war grows darker. Hospitals appear next. Rows of wounded men lie on wooden beds. Limbs are missing. Bandages are soaked through. Surgeons stand nearby, hands stained, faces serious. There was no anesthesia like we know today. Amputations were fast, brutal, and common. Piles of severed arms and legs appear in some photographs, stacked like firewood. These images were almost too much for the public to accept, and yet, they were real. By the end of part 1, the photographs no longer feel distant. The war has entered homes, churches, hospitals, and hearts. The camera has stripped away fantasy. What remains is truth, silent, sharp, and impossible to ignore. Part 2, the war at its darkest. As the war dragged on, the photographs grew heavier. Faces changed. Early confidence vanished. Soldiers in later images look thinner, older, and tired beyond their years. Their uniforms hang loosely. Their eyes seem to look through the camera instead of at it. Many had already seen death too many times to count. Battlefield images from places like Antietam, Gettysburg, and Petersburg show the scale of destruction. Fields once used for farming are now covered with bodies. Fences are shattered. Trees stand stripped of bark, torn apart by cannon fire. Nature itself appears wounded. One photograph shows a lone soldier sitting on the ground, head bowed, rifle resting beside him. He is alive, but something inside him is gone. The camera captures what words rarely can. War does not only destroy bodies, it destroys spirit. Prisoner of war camps appear next. Images from places like Andersonville are among the most disturbing. Men reduced to skeletons stand behind crude fences. Their clothes barely cling to their frames. Many stare blankly. Others cannot even stand. Disease and starvation kill prisoners more slowly than bullets. But just as surely, these photographs expose suffering that governments tried to hide.